So JP Morgan has been a big topic of conversation, and of course, banks lead markets. Like I always say, where the banks go, the market goes. So that's where the inflows of money come from, the Feds and the repo markets that happen overnight and everything like that. We are JP Morgan's one of the big four. Another thing that I'm interested in about JP Morgan is I do think that they can become the biggest competitor of Square. Square definitely has a hold on because they're on the ground. They have their little devices all over with private businesses and little entrepreneurs that are doing mom and pop shops. So they're on the ground. And I think that if there's any competition to Square, it might be JP Morgan. And I only say that because they've whispered it before. Is it going to happen? I really don't know. Another reason to keep an eye on the banks is all of this Bitcoin stuff. I don't know where this is going to go. Admittedly, I don't really understand it. And frankly, I don't really want to look into it yet. There can be I do think that banks will get involved with Bitcoin in some large capacity. I don't know when that is, but that might give them some kind of upside potential or down. I don't really know. But that is what I'm seeing. And I'm just looking through the news and I don't really see anything crazy on JP Morgan, but it's been talked a lot in the Bid and Ask Nation. I just want to show you guys what the chart looks like, and let's go from there. This is zoomed out about a year. So let's see where we are back in March. This was back in the midst of the pandemic. Our low was about $77, and now pretty much double that at $156. So they've had a pretty good run. I don't know what this little gap is right here, but I would be interested to know. And you could see that they started making this great move through the sweet spot back in October, and it really hasn't stopped with the exception of this little dip that happened for a little while in January. Don't know what it was, but they sure have recovered from it. So let's see. I'm going to zoom out to here and just see how we could have played this just for your guys' reference, because of course I am here to teach you, not do this for you. Okay, so they had a little sweet spot reversal. Came up very nicely over a couple week period, and then it just started to move. And so I talk about power stocks. This is not, yes, we were, after this little gap up, we were pretty much over our 25, all of our major moving averages with the exception of that pullback in there. And I don't know what it was. I have a feeling it was when the NASDAQ was falling apart and interest rates and this and that, because it did affect banks. But you can see how kind of loose that cluster is. You see it's wider than I normally draw. Usually when I draw a power stock, I'm like drawing lines like that. With this, they're just a little broader because you had this movement up and down right there. So that to me is not a strong power stock. Yes, it's making new highs, but it's not the strength of like an Nvidia or something like that, which is the video that was posted yesterday. It's so tough for me to say because we've been going sideways for so long. It's kind of flirting with turning into a negative trend, and you can actually see, this is why I like my charts. Those 3 days right there, it actually did turn into a negative trend, because on my charts, when the red line crosses below yellow, the color changes for me to show me that it indicates a downtrend, and it did. So that was last week. Actually, it was Friday of the previous week, then Monday, Tuesday, but it turned back into a positive trend. So if you're in JP Morgan right now, I would not exit, maybe take profits on it, but I do think if you get some green engulfing candlesticks, let me draw this in blue just to make it a little bit more color combo. If you do get green engulfing candlesticks, you could be okay on this if you're in it. If you're not in this right now, I would not advise getting into this for the first time. You're just facing a lot of resistance here. There's a lot going on with the banks, but yeah, don't do that for the first time. Swing trade. Let's move over and just check it out. So we are flirting with our 25-day moving average, and that is the struggle. You can see that we're just consolidating in this area right here. That's why. It's just flirting with the 25-day moving average. We're over 50, we're over 100, which is important. We're over our 200, well over our 200. So if this thing can break out, it just needs volume. And I'm talking volume like back here, that consistent green volume, not this little bit and then a little red and then a little bit, because these red indicate sell-off, and we're not really hitting the average volume over here. So that little yellow line that's trickling above all my volume bars, that's the average volume, and you can see that we're not touching the average volume. Back here we were consistently touching it and blowing through it. So this is what we're going to need to propel ourselves out over the 25-day moving average and break out over whatever this previous high was. You can see that it tried back here and it completely failed. So it's going to need a real push to get up through this level. That's going to be how we're going to do a daily trade, like a swing trade on JPMorgan. You're going to have to get volume going out. Now, if this thing changes direction on us and it starts moving down and we start getting the trend drops like so, we start getting these red candlesticks that move down, I do think that JPMorgan can come down here. You'll face a little bit of support at the 50-day moving average, but if it can get through the 50-day moving average and things start falling apart, you can short this thing all the way down to the 100-day. And I don't know if I don't know if it'll happen now, but it could get down to the 200-day. So there's different ways of going about this. I personally don't like. I'm not a big shorter in general, but I really don't like shorting banks. The chart is showing me that I can short a bank, but it's just in the back of my mind that it's a bank and the Fed can put money into them and help them and bail them out and this and that. So it makes me a little bit leery because as the banks go, the market goes. So right now, the Fed is going to do whatever they have to do to make the market not go. And that means that they're going to prop up the banks like they've been doing for the last basically decade. So just be careful. And I always say it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter stock price, this and that. This one, you might want to have it in the back of your mind a little bit. I just avoid banks. I just try to avoid banks. It's just kind of a general rule of thumb. And it's nothing other than there's so many better sectors out there, better companies out there. Why bother? It just goes back to that thing. So from a 15, this was a beautiful run right here. Just great engulfing candlesticks all morning after a big drop in the right when the market opened at 9:30. You could see that we started basically at zero, and by mid-morning we were up and we could have made a great trade. Had okay volume, but it was decelerating, which I don't love to see. But I really like these engulfing candlesticks that you just had every 15-minute period. It was so great going up. And let's say you caught this thing, let's be conservative, $153, rode it up to 153, let's call it 80. That's not bad for an hour and a half of work. So just sticking to your principles, knowing that being over 80% on your stochastic, okay volume, good engulfing candlesticks, you could have gone in and made some money here. So it's not the greatest 15-minute trade in the world. I mean, you do have, this goes back to almost like NVIDIA's video. We need to be, of course, when we're going along, we need to be over 80%, between 80 and 100, with our trend line just going sideways up here. When we're shorting, we need to be between 0 and 20. Trend line just bouncing around in here. You could see how much of the day JPMorgan just hangs in this area in the middle, which is like no man's land. You don't want to be in it because the stock price cannot choose a direction. It's just kind of going flat and it's not doing anything. But you can see out of all these days that I'm drawing, how much red is in the middle of these windows between 80 and 20, which I don't like. So to me, this is not something that I'm going to day trade. I'm going to go pick something that's a little bit better if I'm making it one of my 5 stocks. Now, if you're a person that wants to go in and see what's happening with momentum every day and see what's in Yahoo Finance's biggest gainers, biggest movers, etc., most actives, hey, if JPMorgan's in there, go ahead and grab it and knock yourself out. You could definitely make money. You could see on Friday it was short. We were having great engulfing candlesticks coming down, pretty good consistent volume. That's perfectly fine. But as far as it being one of your 5 stocks, I don't like it. So let's do a little recap. Long term, if you want to do something with it, I wouldn't advise doing anything if you are not in it at all right now. If you want to get in it for the first time, I would say that it's not a good idea. If you've been in it and you've rode it up and you've just gone sideways for a very long time, A, you can take profits. B, you can wait until you break out to new highs and see if you can make something out of it. Just know that you're at this 25-day moving average right here, and it's holding you down a little bit. So for a swing trade, right over here, 1 to 5 days, if you can break out a little bit, go for it. It's kind of the same deal. You do have some room to run, but you will face resistance here. And unless there's some big news or big pumping of money or the market's just rallying like crazy, I don't really foresee anything happening. If you want to go short, just be very careful with this. Be very careful shorting banks. They can come down. Just make sure. I would start taking profits at my 50. It breaks through 50, run it down to the 100, take profits at the 100, etc. Just so on and so forth. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, join the Bid and Ask Nation. Trade like this with me. You get full access to me. You get all the Everything Money software that comes out on Thursday. And it's awesome. You guys have a great night. Peace.
Thanks so much for watching the video. We hope you were intrigued. If this style of investing speaks to you, click the link below to join our Patreon. As a patron, you get access to a wonderful community of like-minded investors where you can chat, connect, ask questions, and share ideas with badasses like you all over the world. The best part is you get the amazing Everything Money software. This is revolutionary, unlike any YouTube page. You can track your investments, look at stocks, and quickly run our 8-pillar analysis on any company you like. The top tier patrons get direct access to Paul and Trader Mo. You'll see their daily trades, their updated portfolios, and every options contract they write on a daily basis. We provide Patreon exclusive videos just for you, including live streams and exclusive content from our team. Our bottom patron tiers fill fast, so join today. But hey, if you don't believe me, look at all of our patrons' amazing success stories. In comparison to other financial platforms, our software is by far the best value. This is your chance to get serious about investing. If you're finally ready to level up your investing game, join our Patreon and let's start kicking ass together.